Okay, good morning and happy Friday, Lab Coat agents. My name is Dave Medina. I am a lender, 25 years in the business. I'm the area manager here at CMG Home Loans and team leader for the Elevate Group. First and foremost, before I get started, I just wanted to very sincerely thank Lab Coat agents for the invitation to come and talk to you guys today about what I really believe is an incredible market differentiator. It's not a new program, but it's sort of been like swept under the rug a little bit, and there's just not a lot of press or discussion into this like amazing tool for both your buyers and your sellers. So hopefully we're going to shed a little light on that here today. But thank you. Thank you for taking the time to invest in getting better, to invest in equipping yourself to deal with this marketplace, which is for some of us multi-decade practitioners here is very unique to say the least. There's probably other words to use for it, but and for all the people that I see joining, thank you so much. And we've only got about a half an hour to work through this, and this is a lot of content, so I'm going to be sort of blasting through this. At the end of this, I will put up a contact screen. It'll have my email, my phone number. You can send me smoke signals. Don't really care how you get a hold of me, but if you'd like to go offline and talk more specifically about this, I definitely welcome that. I will try to make sure that we have some time for some Q&A at the end of the deal. But hey, without further delay, let's get to it. Okay, so today we're here to talk about renovation loans, but renovation loans in particularly as a tool to help a real estate agent really solve a massive problem that buyers are having out there in the marketplace right now. And we're going to jump right into it. But so this may be what I'm going to ask you to do here for a minute is like unwind everything you think you may know about renovation loans, or maybe have had some experience renovating your own home or other homes if you're an investor. This is going to be a little bit different. I want you to put yourself in the seat and look through the lens of every borrower that you're out there showing property to, from your first time home buyer all the way to your seasoned buyer, as well as your investors that are looking to grow their real estate portfolios. Okay, so we're going to jump in first of all, and we're going to talk. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to cover here today. So first of all, we'll be addressing like what the heck is a renovation loan specifically. We're not talking about breaking out that credit card to change the flooring in the home. This is considerably different than that. But we're also going to talk about some individual case studies on why you need to know about this. If you want to be out there and be relevant in a marketplace like this, this is absolutely a tool that you need to have in your arsenal. We're going to go over the different types of renovation loans for sure, so you can see the type of customer that we're able to serve. We'll talk about the types of repairs that work really well with programs like this. We'll certainly tell you what's included in a renovation loan and maybe some of the things that are not included. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of advantages that will help you truly stick out in your local marketplace like literally a diamond in the rough. Definitely some tips on how to integrate this into your active and existing business. And then we'll talk about like fundamentally how we get these done. Alrighty. So what is a renovation loan? A renovation loan is a singular loan that is used to purchase a home while including the anticipated cost of renovations, repairs, and upgrades. Now, this can also be used in the context of a refinance for somebody that has a home. But for you guys right now, I'm here to talk about a weapon to put in your gun to help you be more relevant and more effective in this particular market. So we're not going to be talking about refinances today, but you can associate everything that we're talking about to that respect as well. Okay. But we're talking about being able to buy a home and include the cost of renovations, big potential renovations in a 30-year fixed mortgage versus the alternative opportunities out there to renovate homes, which are not very pretty. So you can utilize this loan to both remodel and or upgrade a home, right? So it's not just fixing things. You can actually add to a home, like literally add square footage, which will ultimately increase the value of a home. We'll talk a lot about that today. You can purchase a home in an as is, right? All those homes out there that say cash only, investors only, that are being sold for below market. How would you like to put those as potential opportunities for your first time home buyer? We're not talking about refinances, but obviously you can use it for it. And it works for both conforming and high balance loan amounts. So it works like from really any county out there. Like this is a program that is not, for 1 out of 100 borrowers. It's quite the opposite. This could be a program for 99 out of 100 borrowers, right? And so we're going to talk about that. It works on both single family residences, 2 to 4 unit, multi-unit homes, as well as manufactured homes. So when I say it covers a big spectrum of programs, it really does, right? And we'll jump right into it. So here's why you need to know about this. So these are 4 very specific reasons or issues that we're facing out there in this type of marketplace. Like before I even get into this, let's take a time out and let's talk about what we're dealing with out there, right? We have interest rates that are not great, right? They're not bad too. We're better than we were a year ago. And like we need to start talking about that a little bit. Right now, as we stand here today, there are certainly some extracurricular things going on in the world right now that are having a negative impact on interest rates. But as you saw, even just this morning in the news, it looks like we are rapidly stepping into some resolution, which I think is important at the end of the day. And I think we're going to start seeing some relief out there. But we still have this issue out there that there are a lot of sellers that are a little bit sort of handcuffed to this incredible 2.75% interest rate that they were able to obtain during the COVID era. And it's making it really difficult for them to move. They want to move. Maybe they need to move. We're actually starting to see an environment now where some of these sellers, like, hey, you got to move. I had a client that I helped them get into a home just it was about 4 years ago. And he really loves his 2.5% interest rate, but it's no longer appropriate for little Joey and little Susie to be sharing a room because they're not so little anymore. So life goes on, and interest rates are fantastic. They were during that time, right? That was one positive impact of a very negative time in our country's history. But because of that, there's a lot of people that want to sell, but they're simply not. So from an inventory standpoint, buyers are still struggling out there because there should be more homes out there for sale than are out there. This is going to be a solution to that. So let's jump right into it. The first case study I'd like to talk about is the type of transaction where you work really hard. You finally find the perfect home for the borrower. You jump into escrow, you go out there, you do your inspection, and everything visually, everything optically looked really great, right? But then you receive this inspection report about 4 inches thick, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? Ding dong, the deal's dead. You have plumbing issue, you have bad electrical panels, you have bad subflooring in the floor, you have an issue with the roof, you have, I mean, you name it, da 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 da. The list can go on and on and on and on. Now, a lot of things that are minor, you guys are able to just negotiate through that. You do closing cost credits, seller does repairs up front. There's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. But at some point, the rehab work or the repair work can get outside of the scope that the lender is comfortable with. Not a lot of lenders are out there like saying, oh, no problem that the roof is bad, or that you're standing in the living room and you're looking up and you're seeing the sky. That that's going to be an issue for lenders, right? And it's probably going to be an issue for your buyer too, as it should be. And you might say, oh yeah, that's an easy fix. We'll just have the seller do it. Right now, people, if you haven't heard, like, people are debt leveraged like they've never been before. Most people's money and most sellers' money is trapped in the very home that they're trying to sell. So it becomes like unfeasible to do some of these repairs prior to the close of escrow. This program is a solution for that. I'm going to give you a real live example from one of our lab coat agent members here. Elena Flores, shout out to you, who recognized the opportunity because she really struggled to find a home for a very entry level borrower, did not have a lot of budget to work with, and found her a nice little manufactured home on property that really worked for her wants and needs as a family. But when they got in there and started doing the inspection, my goodness, how about a broken septic system, like broken, like doesn't work, like everything was just seeping into the ground. The propane system they had, no lie, was from a propane tank like you would hook up to your charcoal or to your charbroil grill in your backyard right now. I mean, it was really, really incredible. The subflooring in the living room, like literally, if you stepped on it, a foot would go through it. It just went on and on and on and on. Like there was issues with rodent infestation, a ton of termite issues. Like this thing could not be financed no matter how you slice and dice this thing, right? Way out of the scope of what the seller was either able to do or willing to do. So the deal was going to die, right? And this is the, yeah, I was talking to the listing agent. He's like, yeah, we're just going to have to go reduce the price by, 20% or whatever, and just sell it to somebody who's got a big suitcase full of cash. That's going to come in here, renovate this thing up, and then have a nice little property. And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's hold on for a minute. I had a consultation with the borrower. We began a FHA 203K renovation loan, and we got this deal closed in 14 days. And this is exactly what we did. We completely replaced the septic system, completely brand new. We installed a legitimate propane system to power the home, brand new appliances in the kitchen. We fixed the subflooring. We eradicated the termite and rodent infestation. And we were able to add an HVAC system. We put in a mini split on the property because it only had a heating element, which by the way didn't work. So when we went to fix that as well, the contractor was like, hey, well, for $3,000 or $4,000, we can add a mini split in here so you have air conditioning. We're here in the Temecula Valley, you guys. I don't know where you guys are at right now, but it gets hotter than Hades out here in the summer. And she actually had a disabled child. So to be able to add air conditioning into this home, it was an absolute game changer. We did all of this. We had a budget of like $72,000 that we worked with on this thing, right? It was absolutely unreal, the home that we were able to deliver to her. Now, for all of you people saying, oh my gosh, but we had to get permits and everything. How did you keep the seller in the loop for so long while you guys did this thing? We didn't have to. We closed escrow 14 days later. We put keys in the borrower's hand. Seller got their money. Seller went away. And then we worked with that borrower over the next 3.5 months to get the property right. So this is not going to impact the terms of a traditional sale. There's a little bit of strategic structuring of how we want to make that offer. But all in all, can we get this done in 30 days? Absolutely, we can. Right. And if you're being told differently, you need to talk to Elena Flores or talk to me, because you're just talking to people that just don't know how to do it. It's as simple as that. The second type of opportunity this is amazing for is for the home that is already being marketed to as for cash only offers, right? Because the listing agent, one of you guys who understood already and already counseled your seller to say, hey, no buyer is going to be able to come and buy this thing that's getting a loan. There's no way a bank's going to take this thing. Right? So you've already negotiated with your seller to list the property at a below market price because you're only appealing to people with giant suitcases full of cash, right? Well, how about if those properties all of a sudden become eligible to your borrowers, even your first time home borrower? But Dave, that property needs $100,000 of rehabilitation work. Okay, well, if we're getting a screaming deal on that property because of that fact, I could put your first time home buyer into that home with a 3% down payment and finance the entire amount of that rehabilitation with 3% down. And we can close in 30 days. How about them apples? All right. We can turn an almost perfect home into their dream home. We all know, like buyers out there, look, the buyers out there that are willing to buy, they kind of understand that like they're in a little bit more of a power position than they have been in the years past. And you know what? Good for them for a minute here. It's been brutality, right? Over the last 5 years for buyers. So I'm glad to see the environment sort of equalize out a little bit. But also buyers are paying high interest rates, high financing rates in order to buy these properties. They certainly want what they want, right? As they should. They're not willing to settle for a home that doesn't check every one of their boxes. And especially for your younger borrowers, your first time, your move up borrowers, they don't want to buy a home where they have to immediately drop 20 or 30 or $40,000 into it just to make it what they want. So the search goes on and goes on and goes on and goes on. But we already talked about the fact that all these eligible homes out there that would be perfect for the buyer, they're just not up for sale because again, seller is trapped in that 2.5% interest rate, right? Well, how about we go take a home that is almost checking all of those boxes, and then we give them a blank canvas and we say, why don't you, uh-oh, why don't you paint the rest of this picture? Why don't you finish this off? Why don't you put the backsplash in that kitchen that you want? Why don't you don't like the cabinet arrangement in the kitchen? Why don't we change that? Right? You really you don't want carpet anymore. You want LVP through the whole home. Let's get that done for you. It really puts your borrowers in the ultimate driver's seat, you guys. And for those of you guys who know me, that's what I'm all about, right? It's all about empowerment and putting the borrower in the driver's seat so they can tell us what's right for them instead of the opposite. And this gives them a tremendous amount of control in that process. Now, also, for you listing agents out there who are having those conversations with sellers about having to sell only for cash because it's unfinanceable, how about putting some really creative marketing together to not only sell that home to an investor, but sell it to even a first time home buyer by showing them the before and after potentials by using financing like this. We have incredible programs. Of course, we utilize AI to take the current situation. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a minute and what it could be. It's like opening the door on those cash only properties to all of a sudden being able to sell to everybody. Veterans, first time home buyers, move up borrowers, investors, everybody and everybody in between, even long term hold opportunities. If you're working with investors who aren't looking to flip, they're just looking to get great rental properties with strong ROI on their money. How about a renovation program to take one of these cash only properties and make it ready to go to put a renter in there in 45 days, but securing that property at a massive discount? You guys, this has opportunity for buyers agents, for listing agents, and most definitely for the buyer and seller themselves. Okay, the possibilities really are endless, guys. We can do anything to a property dependent on the type of program. So let's talk about what those types of programs that we have out there. This is going to represent about 90% of what you're already utilizing to put people into homes. We can use a conventional renovation loan, right? So this is great because for a first-time home buyer, you only need a 3% down payment. There are no additional overlays. So Dave, who qualifies for a conventional renovation loan? Every borrower that qualifies for a conventional loan. There are no further restrictions on top of the normal qualification for the loan, right? So if they meet the deal from a debt to income standpoint, from a credit standpoint, from a down payment standpoint, then a renovation loan could work for them as well. But what's so great about conventional specifically is that it also opens up the door to purchase properties that are not primary residences, right? Second homes, investment properties. I mean, you can get really tricky with this stuff. So, but let's say you're dealing with that first time or newer type of borrower. Let's look at FHA options. We have two FHA options. We have what we call the 203K, which is like the full, and then we have a 203K limited or a streamline, as people call it. Fundamentally, it's the identical loan. Requires a 3.5% down payment. A borrower can get this after only 2 years from a bankruptcy. You can have down to a 600 credit score, even below in some certain cases, right? I mean, it's very flexible. It's the reason why we're using FHA for a particular borrower as well. And also subsidized interest rates, right? Because the loan is insured by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So we're delivering interest rates today in the mid fives instead of the young sixes. And that's meaningful to people out there right now. But the only real difference between the two programs, the limited versus the full, is the scope of project. So the full allows you to do like structural changes, like, hey, gosh, this 2 bedroom is really nice, but like we're thinking about having another baby. So, blah, blah, blah. Well, hey, how about we get this 2 bedroom and we put a bedroom on, we add on square footage. We can do that with this particular loan. Now, on the limited version, it's really more for cosmetic, right? We could do flooring, we could do cabinetry, we could do paint, we could do termite work, like more cosmetic. Think of it as like going to give the house a facelift. right? Rather than cutting it open and performing heart surgery. Those are the two differences. So we're limited to a budget of $75,000 when we're working with the limited program, but equally effective. We were that case study that I gave you that I worked with the lab coat agent realtor. We were able to fit the scope of work into the limited capacity, and that it made it a little cheaper for the borrower because it skips on some otherwise consultations that have to be done and inspections that have to be done. And but again, it's hard to say cosmetic, right? I don't know that I would consider the replacement of a septic system as cosmetic, but FHA does, and we were able to use that limited program in order to get it done. VA, let's talk about our warriors out there, right? Both active service members that qualify for VA loans and the veterans that have discharged from service. People don't realize that VA offers a renovation opportunity as well for them. So let's talk about serving those who serve, right? We need to let them know this. They could buy a home with no money down, which is of course synonymous with the VA loan, right? Very flexible on terms. And because the loan is guaranteed by the full faith of the Departments of Veterans Affairs, interest rates are also much lower than a conventional standpoint. Mid fives versus, 6.25, 6.375 today. Huge opportunity for our veterans. But if the house isn't right, let's make the house right. Who deserves it more? Now, the VA renovation loan is limited to more of the cosmetic, like the FHA limited. Think all those things we just talked about. But that's huge, right? It doesn't have to be a pile of what to consider a renovation home. It could be the house could be perfectly fine in many respects, right? It's just maybe somebody just hasn't touched it in the last 15 years, and there's deferred maintenance, and the appliances are not modern, or the AC is like on its last, it's last summer, and then they're going to have to pay 15 grand to get a new HVAC system in there. Like, these are the types of things that we can do at the point of purchase rather than strapping these buyers with that kind of expense 6 months down the road. We got to start thinking about that stuff. All right. Eligible repairs. This is fun, right? A bunch of before and after types of things we can do. Kitchen, bathroom remodels, right? We can do, believe it or not, with some of these programs, we can actually not only repair or remove a pool, right? But we can actually install a pool, which is a big deal. So we want to be able to think about all of that kind of stuff. Oh, and you guys see this all the time, right? Where somebody got in, your inspector took a picture of that plumbing thing and it's all rusted out, or you need to replace a sewer line that goes from the street to the home. All of those are eligible repairs. I told you we literally installed a septic system. They excavated, it could not be repaired. It had compromised the structure. It had collapsed in on itself. So we were able to remove that entire existing system, get a permit for a new system, and they installed the new system, tank, leach lines, plumbing, everything involved with it. And by the way, that was on the facelift program, not the actual structural program. Okay. How about adding an ADU? Holy cow. This is big news today, right? People are moving mom and dad into the household. They want to have an income source by renting it. If the property value is right and the opportunity is right, we can literally build an ADU, an exterior workshop, an exterior garage for those car collectors out there. Like, you name it, we've got opportunities to fit it. And then, of course, everything else in between, guys. New flooring, windows, doors, cabinets, appliances. Really, I mean, it's really open-ended, right? It's really open-ended at the end of the day. Now, what's included in a renovation loan? Well, of course, we include the cost of repairs, but it doesn't end there. We include a lot more than that. We actually include a contingency reserve. I wish I could see everybody's hands right now, but how many people have ever started a construction project at their house that they thought was going to cost $10,000, but it ended very differently? Right? There is absolutely, when you're doing construction, oftentimes the scope of the project changes while you're doing it. So we know that in advance. So we're actually building in a contingency reserve that allows for those types of situations, should the house rehab project be a little bit more than expected. For some programs, both FHA and conventional, they may not be able to live in the property while we're doing these upgrades. right? We may have to remove the entire kitchen out of there and rebuild it. How they can't live there. So we can actually finance up to 6 months of the anticipated mortgage payment into the loan. So that way they can just live at home, or if they have to rent or stay somewhere else, they're not in a situation where they have to pay both the mortgage payment and rent somewhere. So this has already been well thought out, you guys. Consultation fees when necessary, certain title updates, supplemental originations, inspection fees for the draws as we handle that for them, even architect fees, engineering, and permit costs. So this really is end to end. It's not like, hey, this is a great program as long as your customer has an extra $20,000 to get the project going. We're able to get it going for them. Okay, so the real advantages here is your client gets to customize the home that fits their needs and their personal style opportunities. So by helping your client visualize possibilities and the likelihood of increased equity, you're providing a beneficial option for them. Let's talk about that person that really needed a 3-bedroom, but they're either priced out of 3 bedrooms or they're not finding the perfect home. You need to train your eyes to look at the 2 bedrooms out there and say, hey, which one of these setups would allow for an easy add-on, right? How many realtors, how many people, look to the left, look to the right, how many realtors are equipped or are actively doing that right now? Very, very few. So this is a huge opportunity to emerge in your market as something different. And as Tristan Ahumada once told me, standing out amongst the crowd is more valuable than anything else you'll ever know. So equipping yourself with this kind of thing and being able to talk to people in a different way. Holy cow, the content opportunities in a loan program like this, to do a podcast episode, to create visuals, videos, befores and afters. And my goodness, if you ever, like my agent did, have an opportunity to actually play one of these things out, you better have a video crew capturing from the beginning to the end of this thing, because you will have produced a documentary that will actually impact every potential home buyer in your future in a way that none of your competition is doing. And by the way, listing agents, let's not forget about you. This is not just a tool for buyers, right? This is a tool to help you market properties that all you're just putting one single picture and saying, hey, investors only, property cash only. Like, this changes the narrative, right? And then if you get one of these done, I think it would open up the door to future homeowners that are in a similar position, where you can show the success you've had in being able to market other people's cash only properties in a different way. Okay, we help people prepare by helping them create their wish list. We work in conjunction with you. We help them with the contractor selection, and if they have their own licensed contractor that they want to use, we will get them approved. It's not very difficult to do that. They just have to meet certain criteria. We coordinate everything with the home inspection to determine the repairs, and at the end of the day, we finalize the repair list and we buy the home, right? And then once we get the funds, like, you get paid, you get your commission, seller gets their money, everybody gets out of the transaction, and then we hold on to all that rehab money in a construction holdback account. Right. And then it's just like anybody who's ever built a home. We work with the contractor in installments to give them money. And then we send an inspector out there to confirm that the scope of the project up to that point has been done. And once that box is check marked, we give the next infusion of money. Okay. And then after that, we manage that for them. You guys don't have to be a part of that management, other than just like hanging out with your customer and maybe going to the tile store and helping them pick backsplash. Like, it's fun. Like, you can make it really, really amazing, but you're not going to have to do any of the heavy lifting. Look, guys, why us? I don't know, work with somebody who's telling you about this, I guess, right? I mean, we have been doing this for a long time. The one thing that I would ask you to do is that this program is hard, which is why a lot of lenders don't do it. I mean, that's just plain and simple, right? But like, we like to do hard things here. So you definitely have to make sure that you are working with a seasoned team that understands these types of loans. You don't want somebody cutting their teeth on their first deal when it's your name on that purchase contract. It's difficult. You have to know the ins and outs of this, but more importantly, you have to be working with a processing team, an underwriting team, a funding team, a doc team, a closing team. Like, the whole team has to be down with these types of loans. Otherwise, there will be problems. So look, guys, here's my information here. I'm right at the half an hour mark. I think this is the first time in my life I've ever done like with exactly the amount of time that I have available to me. I'm here with a group of realtors actually watching me do this live right now, and they're all laughing at me because they're all sitting through my classes. And an end time for me is just usually a theory. But please, if you have any questions or you want to connect more or learn more about this, there are certainly there's more to this than what I just showed you. My goal was to give you kind of that 50,000 mile overview on just the sheer expansiveness of this program and get your mind turning with like, oh my gosh, who could I serve, from first time home buyers to veterans to investors and everybody in between. Maybe you want to buy a property. Maybe you want to get into that investment property and you got your finger on the pulse of the market, so you can go identify that home that's being sold 100,000 under value, and you know that if you put $50,000 into this thing, you'd be right there. That's what we need, and I can't do that, right? So I got all the fundamentals and the tools to make this happen, but what I don't have is the market pulse. That's what you guys have. So we need to work as a team in order to make things like this happen for borrowers and for homeowners. We've got a ton of tools to work with, you guys. No, hey, Steve Hill, none of the work has to be done before the close of escrow. That's the value of this program, right? Is that everybody gets paid, commissions get paid, escrow closes, ownership changes, that whole thing happens. And then we work with that customer for 30, 60, 90, however long it takes in order to get the project done. It's amazing. How does Elevate connect with CMG? So CMG Home Loans is, of course, my company. I love it here. This is an amazing company. I run the Elevate group. I'm 25 years in the business, top 1% in the US, all those blah, blah, blah things. So I run this group within CMG, but I would not be able to do everything that we are able to do without this amazing company. Let me look in the chats here. Oh, I think it's great too, Cindy. So, guys, get my information down. If you have any other questions, even if you have a local lender that you're working with in your area, we're not trying to step in and take business away from loyal partnerships. What we're trying to do is add new weapons, new silver bullets to help you differentiate out there. This is an incredible tool. And by the way, if I haven't stressed it enough, think of your veterans out there. Think of your veterans out there as you're touring properties with them, and it's just not quite right. There is no singular population of borrowers that we support out there that deserves this program more than them. Look, that's all I have for you guys here today. I really do hope to connect with you guys, and if Lab Coat Agents wants a deeper drill down on how we establish equity or whatever, I'm happy to do that, because with the value of this program, and by the way, I will talk about the refinance here just with one comment, because if you own a home that's worth $400,000, but you owe $350,000, your equity is pretty much trapped in there, right? There's not a lot you can do to use that $50,000 because everything is based on the loan to value of the home. But what's great about this program is it works like, think about those investor flippers out there. They base their value of that home not on its existing value, but on the after renovation value. We do the same thing. And that's how we're able to get this done. So if somebody is buying a property for $300,000, but we know if we put $100,000 into that property, right? So now we have 300,000 acquisition, $100,000 of rehabilitation, repair, renovation work. Now we have $400,000, but now that home is worth $5. They're walking into instant equity. Instant equity. And the FHA programs, by the way, allow for up to 110%. So you can actually, between the purchase of the property plus the renovation work, can exceed the after rehab value of the home by 10%. You guys, the opportunities really, really are endless. I can't wait to talk more about this. So again, thank you so much, Lab Coat Agents, for having me. This has been awesome. And you guys, get out there, get to work. Let's do it.